Hi everyone, hope you're all doing really well today. Thanks a lot for joining. I see we have a pretty big list of participants from all around the world. Welcome to everybody. My name is Sherry. I'm from Code Creators. I'm one of the founders, and this is our first edition of our SharePoint webinar series. We have a lot of other webinars planned, and I hope to see all of you guys on future webinars as well. I'm just going to start off, tell you a bit about us. Code Creators is a leading IT company based in Canada. We started about 10 years or so ago. We have offices in Pakistan, Sri Lanka, the US, and Canada with about 250 developers, and we work in a very diverse range of technologies, including SharePoint, Office 365, um, business intelligence, data warehousing, you name it, and our company's probably done it. We lead in strategy, design, implementation, and we also have a pretty large training arm that helps with our deployments. A bit about myself. I've been in the technology space for about 8 to 10 years now. I've always been rather on the sales and marketing side. And with me, I have our other founder and chief operating officer, Nur Surani. His expertise lies very much in the tech space. He has both a master's and an undergrad and has been working in tech for over 30 years now. So he's going to guide you through the technical aspects of SharePoint today. So our topic for the webinar is business process automation through Microsoft SharePoint. Now, it's honestly as simple as it says. What business process automation is you take manual processes in companies that take a lot of time and you automate them through the use of technology. Now, this can be something as simple as a vacation request form that's currently really manual, or expense tracking that someone has to submit through a lot of different departments, manually fill out a lot of forms. You can automate that all through SharePoint. What will we cover? Just a crisp, simple introduction to SharePoint, understanding different kinds of workflows, both manual and automatic. We're going to go through the benefits of SharePoint workflows, go through the types of SharePoint workflows, and some common workflows. I'm going to hand it over to Nur at this point to continue. Nur, take it away.
Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining in. So I'm gonna start from where actually Sherry left, and we are going to see what exactly SharePoint is. So SharePoint actually is primarily enterprise content management system. When we say enterprise content management system, it is like it will provide content to the enterprise users related to their own organization. So, for example, if there is some news or birthdays or there are department introductions, all of those things are available to the users. Primarily, SharePoint is for the internal users only. Then SharePoint is a document management system also. So whenever you save any document, like it is an Excel spreadsheet, Word document, or whatever it is, but SharePoint saves those documents in a different, unique way. So it is easier to store metadata with the documents. So what exactly metadata is? Metadata is data about the data. So for example, if you're saving a policy document, so version number of that policy, who created that policy, and till when it is applicable, and things like that. Data about that specific document is stored in the DMS. At the same time, you will be able to use the facility of sharing the document. This document can be shared within the organization, or it can also be shared outside the organization. Then there is the security feature available. So what you can do is, like in the repository, you can provide access to X document to manager level people and Y documents to above manager level people. So you can apply security based on group level security and user level security. Then there is a very awesome feature of SharePoint, which is with the name of full text search, where whenever you upload any PDF, Word document, or any other thing on SharePoint, it automatically indexes all the text within that document, and it will, whenever user search the document, it will actually show the document to the user. Then SharePoint also work as an intranet or social network. When we say social network or intranet, it is basically enterprise-wide thing. So, for example, if you have work anniversaries, you can show those things in your SharePoint. If you have birthdays, you can show those things into your SharePoint. You can also show company directory and things like that, which will actually enable the communication between the user of your portal. Then when we say collaborative software, it actually covers all the above things. So so for example, if there is a news related to your organization, what you can do is you can run a ticker on your SharePoint internet, and it will actually provide news, information, and things like that to the users of your SharePoint portal. Then finally, the main topic of today is like business process automation, and you can implement process automation using enterprise workflow, which actually SharePoint provide. So we are going to, at the end of the session, we are going to do a hands-on exercise of SharePoint workflows, how to create SharePoint workflow, and we are going to use both SharePoint Online at the same time Microsoft Flow. There is also whenever your organization creates a content management system, there is a very important thing which is called branding, and you can also do branding of your SharePoint. Either you can install SharePoint as a vanilla, like install thing, or you can brand it based on your own organization color scheme, theme, and whatever your organization represents. You can do that thing using the branding thing. So what are the benefits of the workflow? SharePoint workflow primarily help you create a structured, like uniform process. So people have to focus on the results and not on how the process should work. So for example, as Sherry mentioned, that if there is a leave request, you might have a process of leave where user can apply for a leave, and the manager can approve that leave, and HR can finally approve that leave, and it will go to the finance for processing of the payroll. Then, because it is an automated task, it will increase efficiency of the organization. So there are tasks, for example, there is a follow-up task. You want an email to be issued every other day uh, till the time it is not approved. You can automate your processes using SharePoint workflows. Then because the workflows are pre-created and it follows a process, all of the information is being stored, and you can use that information in the future. So, for example, if you want to calculate the turnaround time for approving a leave, or calculate turnaround time for example, approving a loan, you can do using SharePoint workflow. Because workflows have a beginning and the end, and there is the decisions in between. You can track the entire process end to end, and this is what actually one of the benefit of Microsoft SharePoint workflows. Again, because users can upload document and things like that, you can always go to the workflow and look at the documents which is uploaded by the user. So, for example, if there is license, if you are a company of pharmaceutical and you have medical representatives and they have a license which needs to be validated. So what you can do is you can create a workflow where the medical representative can upload their documents, and you can tag a date wherever that document is expired, that will trigger an email to the medical rep and they can upload again. Then because due to the process flow is end-to-end logged, so it also helped for the compliance and other regulatory requirement. And again, The document retention is also one of the reason where when you use SharePoint workflow. So types of SharePoint workflows. There is first type is notification workflow. Second type is approval workflow, and we are going to see in detail what exactly these workflows are. Then we have status workflows. Then we have automation workflows, and finally we have custom workflows. So notification workflow, whenever you create a notification workflow, so for example, if you want that whenever someone uploads any document in a document library, it automatically send an email to Mr. X, so you can do using the notification workflows. Then you have approval workflows. So approval workflows, there are a single approval thing and there are multiple approval things. So for example, in this specific case, when you upload a document, like a sales associate upload a document, it will go to the project team. And project team, as soon as they receive an email, they can approve that thing. And then from project team, it will go to the sales manager. And once sales manager approves it, it will go to the director. So it is end-to-end approval workflow, and once one specific approval authority approves the thing, it will go to the next level. Then we have status workflows. So for example, if you have a document, when you upload that document, it is in the draft status, and once it is reviewed by appropriate authority, they can move it to, like, if while they are reviewing, they can move it to being reviewed. Once it is reviewed, they can tag it as a read, and either they can approve or decline the uh, document. Then there is an automation workflow. Automation workflow, for example, there are quite a few examples related to automation workflow. So, for example, whenever someone uploads any Excel file into a document library, it should automatically send an email to some specific kind of user. So this is the automation workflow. When we talk about customer flow is combination of all these things. Like it has approval, it has emails, it has notifications, and there are a few automated tasks which is also included. So for building customer flow, you need the highest level of skills, and you can also hire a consultant like us to create complex level workflows. So for example, we are going to see an example of a hiring workflow. This is a complex custom workflow. So, for example, whenever a new position appears, we log that position in the hiring workflow, and we can keep track of the candidates and whether the interview is being done or not. Then, as soon as interview is done, we can upload the CVs and other documents to the workflow only. And finally, the recruiting department might have the steps, for example, collecting results of their tests, collecting interview results, and things like that. And finally, there is a report which will actually show the result of the workflow. So these are the commonly used workflow which we have built for different companies. So, for example, document feedback workflow, where you take feedback from the users related to document. Document approval workflow. So, for example, if you have a policies document list, you can upload a document over there, and your senior or your manager will approve that specific thing. Then you have holiday request workflow, where you actually apply for a holiday, and this holiday will be approved by your manager. Then paid off request is similar to holiday, where you apply for paid off leaves and it will approved by your manager rep and your HR. Then customer support requests, IT support requests. So there are quite a few workflows which you can create using SharePoint, and you can take all the advantage of logging and document upload and things like that. So if we distribute the workflow tiles based on the competency, so the first level of the workflow, which is the basic workflow, which we are going to see how to create one, is using out of the box functionality. So you can use Office 365, SharePoint, and Microsoft Flow out of the box functionality and create a basic workflow. So we are going to create two workflows. One is the notification workflow and another one is approval workflow, and we see how actually it will work. Then if you want to create an intermediate level workflow, you can use SharePoint Designer, or if you want to do advanced workflow, you have to use Visual Studio where you can do custom advanced coding to implement any workflow. So now our first workflow, we are going to do hands-on. This workflow, we are going to create a notification workflow. So what we want is that we are going to create document library, and we want that whenever any user upload any document to that document library, it will send an email to a specific manager. So for doing that, what we are going to do is we are going to click on site contents, add an app, and the app will be document library, and we are going to go to settings. Then we are going to change the permission of that library so everybody can actually upload that document in the library. Once it is done, we can open that specific folder. Then after that, we are going to create a workflow using Microsoft Flow, which will actually create a notification flow where whenever any document is uploaded into that document library, it will send an email. And finally, we are going to test that specific workflow. So we are going to start, and so here I have a SharePoint site, and in this specific site, I'm going to create a new document library. So for that, I clicked on site content. As soon as I click on site content, it will show us different options where I can add a new application. I just clicked on add an app. Once you click on add an app, it will show us different type of apps which I can add to the this specific SharePoint site. So you can see that there is a item with the name of document library. I'm going to click on this document library, and the document library which I'm going to create, I'm going to name this document library as highly confidential docs. And once I give the name to that specific document library, I'm going to click on create. Once the document library is created, what I can do is I can scroll down, and there is a new tag beside the document library which I've just created. So highly confidential documents. I'm scrolling down. So this is the highly confidential document. I'm going to click on this specific document library. As soon as I click on this specific document library, it will open the document library on my SharePoint window. Now what I want is I'm going to change the permission scheme of this specific document library, because what I want is I want all the users to be able to upload documents to this document library. So I came to settings, and then there's an option with the name of permissions, that I can provide the permission to a specific user. I'm going to give Noors Rani. So if Noors Rani have full control, I'm going to give other user, for example, everyone. Uh, I'm going to give Parrot. So once my permission setting is done, what I can do is I'm going to check this specific thing, that whether I can upload a document over here or not. So I just click on upload files and bonus policy, for example. So as soon as I click on bonus policy, you can see that a document is uploaded over here and is appearing over here. Now what I want is I'm going to create a notification workflow where whenever anyone uploads a document, it will send an email to a specific email address. I just click on flow, and there is an option with the name of create flow. Once you click on the create a flow, it will show us a few templates on which we can create. Send a customized email when a new file is added. This is a notification workflow template. I'm going to click on this specific template. So once you click on that specific item, it will open Microsoft Flow in a new window. And I'm going to press. You can see that what happened is that whenever any new file is added to this specific list, it will send an Outlook email to Ansurani at awesometech.com. I'm going to create the flow. I just click the create flow. So now the flow is created, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to test this flow, whether this flow is working or not. This is a notification flow where I ask Microsoft SharePoint to send an email to ansrani@awesometech.com whenever any file is uploaded. So I came to upload files, and I've selected refund policy and open. So once I clicked on refund policy and open, you can see it is uploading that specific refund policy over here. I'm going to see my emails whether, so you can see there is an email which just arrived, and it is saying that hi Noor, for your information, Noor's already added a new file with the name of refund policy. So this is a notification workflow. We haven't did any code. We just clicked on Microsoft Flow and created a flow out of a template, and which will actually enable us to send a notification email to a specific email address. So the next flow which we are going to create using Microsoft SharePoint and Flow is approval workflow. So creating approval workflow is also an easy task. We can also use a flow templates for creating that. So our objective is to create a workflow. Whenever we add a new item into a list, it should send us an email for approval whether we are going to approve that specific item or not. If we approve, it will go to approved list. If we reject, it will go to rejection list. So we are going to create that thing again. What I'm going to do is I just came to my SharePoint site, and again I click on site contents. So once you click on site contents, I can click on add app, and once you click on add an app, it will show us all the commonly used apps. Previously, we have added a document library. You've seen this time we are going to create a custom list. So once I click on custom list, it will ask me for the list name. So for example, it is our sales proposal list. I can type sales proposals and create. You can see that there is a list which is created with the name of sales proposals. What I want is I wanted to add a couple of columns in that specific sales proposal list. So I scroll down a bit to actually, so this is the sales proposal list. I'm going to click on this specific list. I'm just going to add a couple of columns. So for adding a column, so I'm going to add a single line column, and the name of the column is this. And this is a single line column. I saved this there. I'm going to add another column, for example, add column, single line text, and this is, so I have actually added two columns, title, customer name, and sales type. So now I'm going to create a flow on which we are going to create an approval flow where I want that whenever any new item is created in this list, it should send an approval email to a specific email address. I created a flow and create a flow. This time I don't want to send an email, but I want to start an approval flow whenever a new item is added. So I just click on start approval when a new item is created. So once it provides us this screen, we can click on continue. So in this specific screen, it is asking us that it's going to give us the title over here. First, we have to select the item, the list. So you can see that it has already selected the site address as our site address and the list name as this list we have created with the name of sales proposal. Now this is the title of the approval workflow, and here we have to provide uh, to whom we are going to assign this specific approval workflow to. So in this case, I'm going to assign it to myself. So I have selected my name over here. So once I'm done with the approval workflow, what I can do is I can save this specific approval workflow. And once it is saved, it will show us that this approval workflow is saved. Now what we're going to do is we are going to add a new item to this list to verify that whether approval is coming to our mailbox or not. So we clicked on new. Title is sales. Customer name is ICI. Sales type is, and I'm going to save this specific sales. So once this specific item is saved over here, I have to see my mailbox whether I have received an approval mail or not. You can see that I have received an approval mail. When I open that mail, you can see whether I can approve this specific item or I can reject this specific item. There is another place, like this is an email, but there is another place where you can go and see what approvals are pending. So you can come to Flow and click on approvals. Once you click on approvals, it will show us these approvals are received. You can see that corporate sales, which I have actually created a minute before, is appearing over here. These are the received approvals, and we have also sent approvals with us. And history of approval actually shows us that whether we have approved or rejected any specific workflows. So if I click approve, this item is approved, and what I can do is I can extend the workflow, Microsoft Flow, and I can do more items into that. So I can add a new row to Microsoft Excel Online or things like that using Microsoft Flow. So in this specific webinar, what we have learned that what exactly Microsoft SharePoint is and how you can create workflows. We have created two kind of workflow. One is notification workflow, another one is approval workflow. Shaya, if you can close this session, that will be helpful.
Thanks, Noor. I think that was a pretty comprehensive overview. Guys, if you ever have any questions, you can reach out to us. I'm going to send a thank you email once this call ends, and we'll also share the details and dates for the next webinar. Thank you for your time, everyone.